It was simply an error. Perhaps meaning it was never sold, and thus it stayed as a new stock until now. And when somebody purchased it and eventually sold it upon eBay to myself. What? I'm a happy person. But this is quite warm. And I shall have to wear the undershirt because, and eventually wear shin shirt, which I do not have yet. I have ordered it, which is all my eBay money. So arrive in France, I shall have to wait a long time for it, and then I shall have to wear the trousers and the waistcoat, and I have the 1940s waistcoat now. The other was way too small, I didn't wear it again. And the 1940s 50s waistcoat is made out of wool, which is good but warm, and I have my wool frock coat. So this, I'm not even sure. For the first month I shall wear it unstarched, as I desire not to damage it directly, and as the fabric still looks new and crisp. It looks like I think it's never been worn. But it's a very large shoulder, like in the countryside, very roomy. I like that. Yeah. So very tucked into the trousers, they shall look very accurate, especially, the waistcoat, trousers and coat. Then on the shirt, and it has those falling, dropping shoulders. But I have to say, so I should brought all the things that I intend to open up. At that time, original things. By original, unfortunately, probably nothing dating to the 19th century. But everything being original in the sense not something meant as a imitation that should only be worn as a costume, but were created in an era when still, even if a minority of people, still a considerable minority of people were still wearing said garments created. So much older garments, much older accessories, including a shirt that probably dates back to the 1940s, the first in 1950. And this shirt is one of my specials because they wear out quickly with a starch. For my non-morning day wear, that shirt, which is, I'll just show it very quickly because this is very modern. This is probably 1940s, 50s. It is meant to take a detachable color, shirt maker, original, pre-shrunk. Then they added this dress so-called thing because clearly it was used for, at one point they used it for a modern period shirt, whatever. But I can see this is still an original because all the markings is still in a half collar, a very large collar. It has a bosom, and nothing is fused, thank heavens, a double layer bosom, and it has French cuffs. And it is very nice. I love the stripes, and it is brand new. It has never been worn. In order to use it for that production, they never actually wore it. So, real stock. And then see, very interesting, compelling. So I would grab, yes, to come back to that, because the fabric is not exactly like an original, I would be tempted to put it as a low-grade actual reproduction for once. I never put anything into reproduction as produce like in the past. A hybrid reproduction would practically be an original. I would consider a hybrid reproduction, which actually is easier, more available, I will explain why, as something which is entirely made of original fibers, probably original buttons too, and then made under the same pattern using the same construction and same styling as what, for example, just an example, they would have worn in the 1890s upper-class British, or they would have worn in the 1860s or 1660s working peasantry from Eastern Holland, whatever. So this would be a high-level reproduction. The next thing above that is just an original that was constructed back in this. The only difference with the high-level reproduction and the original would be that it would be constructed today, but using, if all of this is given, it will be exactly the same, because using original fibers. A medium-grade reproduction is actually the hardest to get, probably impossible to get, never but really put the work into it, of having exactly the same fabric, made exactly the same manner, and then doing exactly the same pattern, cutting it the same way, doing the same construction, and in the same style. So that would be the hardest. And a low-grade reproduction, but for example, with using perhaps even original buttons and original threads and stuff, a logo reproduction would be also extremely hard, even harder, so that would be the hardest to get, with everything reproduced, including the fibers, but exactly the standards of said era. And obviously if one goes back even to power 1920, it becomes almost impossible, nobody ever put the effort in. So is that a logo reproduction? Just forget the plastic buttons that look modern. I would like to say yes, it does look like yes, but because of the soldering especially, this cannot be a logo reproduction. I would put that through a high-grade imitation. With this, most things so-called reproductions, This is from the Wild West brand, Frontier Classics. Same brand as my tan trousers I showed in the playlist called 1890s Gent Dressing, which was from March. This is a shirt, not for warming obviously, a red shirt, and this is of a low grade. Actually, it's better than I expected. Oh my god, this is quite nice actually. So, the buttons are nicer, the buttons are genuine. Oh, even the color button. So in the back they actually saw a color button, so then take a detachable color, and it is in metal. I thought it was plastic. And some original shirts were like that, because it is easier just to have a solid button, but then it has a stud in the front. It came with a stud, an imitation stud, and the buttonhole is so snug, the stud cannot pull through. The snug is well identical to the original. Again, metal buttons throughout. Gathering pleats in the back, but imitates a more modern or Wild West style, and know that even the cowkeepers were usually wearing garments made in a factory, but hard-wearing garments. Basically as hard-wearing as these, and this is made out of similar cotton, even thicker. This is a very thick cotton, a little bit lighter, but made to more modern standards. In other words, instead of these gusset things, gusset satin sleeves with, you know, these, instead of having the yoke having these square piece reinforcements, or usually, you know, with these shoulder blade reinforcements and no yoke, instead the sleeve is set in like my 1910 shirt. No bosom like many working class garments, but actually a pocket. This is like, some were like that, the original was like that. But it still only buttons halfway down, and still has, and some were like that, it still had that tab, all it has in a bosom, just to button the placket, which would keep the placket nice and flat, and even to some extent the whole shirt tucked in without the use of, you know, cumbersome sock to shirt braces or whatever that no worker ever wore. The only inaccurate part is they would never have had, I never saw that, and maybe in working garments I did like 2 buttons, so you have the choice of, actually maybe in working garments yes, because they were meant to accommodate as many men as possible, and they only came in 3 sizes usually, 4 max, so in that manner they may accommodate shorter or narrower wrists. And also what I do, because I wear my garments a long time before washing them, like I often did back then, you first wear it like that, and then when this shows too much dirt, you narrow it down for the second week, or the next 2 weeks. I usually wear colored ones to warm mouth before laundering, because of all the starching process. This is actually, I was going to say that would be a low-grade imitation. Unfortunately there's fusing, so this would be hard to starch, because otherwise it is such a high colorless collar band that actually it can be used as a sort of super tiny imperial collar on itself before getting dirty, and then wearing an actual detachable collar, making less work to do overall, which is great. But I would have liked to starch it, but unfortunately this cannot take starch because the fabric itself is so stiff, and then to put interlining, even in the placket, they put less of it, they pull it there, they do not put it in the yoke there, and there's a yoke. See. So more modern style. Probably a more modern shirt. This could have been made at the time. This is a Frontier Classics. I guess this is more than 10 years old because I think their new stuff is not as well made. It says made in Guatemala. I think now their things are made in China. And this is quite all machine done, but also the main difference with a modern machine stitch and the fabric is not technically like that then, but it is very hard to tell. This is 100% cotton. It says so on the tag. They have an old school tag there which is made out of polyester, but it looks old school and nobody sees it anyhow. If you really think that was too modern, you wanted somebody to film the inside of your shirt for a movie, just unsaw, you know, cut that off and unsaw that. But really, yeah, this is better than I thought. This is not. I would not put that as. I would put the white one because nothing is fused and there are more efforts. I would put that. Well, I would put that as a high-grade imitation. So none of these are inspirations. Inspirations would be something like made by H&M that remotely looks like and is made out of 100% polyester, or like some modern winemaker things, another all-Western blend, modern imitation blend, but to make it out of polyester and lots of things. So I would consider that a medium-grade imitation, and that one a high-grade imitation. They are both imitating, trying to reproduce, but not succeeding to reproduce very different things. So this is more Central European, probably specifically German, to try to do German peasant clothing.